It is the place where the offer, represented by issuing corporations, and the demand, represented by investors of titles, carry out transactions of buying and selling with the purpose of obtaining the most profits possible. Both the corporations and the investors cannot perform transactions by themselves. They need to contact clearing houses.
All of these transactions are made inside the Mexican Stock Exchange, which provides necessary infrastructure as well as supervision and services to issue, put, and exchange titles subscribed into the National Securities Register.
Clearing houses have the power to put the securities issued by companies into the stock, and they also have the power to buy securities needed to create investment portfolios for the investors. But what kind of securities and titles can we find inside the stock?
Before that, the main classification of all of these instruments is primary market, consisting in all the securities issued for the first time, and secondary market, that consists in the resale and repurchase of these same securities that once were into the primary market. Now, we can label them into three main markets.
The first one is the capital market. In this market, the main operations are the selling and buying of securities.
The securities offered in this market can be issued either by corporations or banks. Here we can find titles like stocks, investment companies, CPOs, warrants, fibras, and obligations.
The placement of these titles into the stock is done by public offering, performed by the clearing houses.
The second one is debt market. The main characteristic here is that all of these titles we can find are fixed income securities. Corporations, banks, and governments can issue these titles.
The majority of the volume of these markets comes from the Mexican government, where we can find the most important securities such as CETES, Bondes D, Bonos M, Udibonos, and UMS.
The placement in this market as the first one is done by clearing houses throughout public offerings.
The last market is the derivatives market. The main difference of this market is that here the negotiation is not of securities, but of contracts. The formal negotiation of this contract is done into the MEXDER, a stock inside BNV specialized into derivatives market. The repayment guarantee is ensured by Asigna, a compensation chamber.
The main contracts we can find in the formal market are futures and options. The objective of these contracts is prevent producers from risk that may affect their daily productions and operations. Their contracts are done under the price of the commodity that wants to be protected.
The informal transactions are done outside MEXDER and are called over the counter. Here we can find contracts like swaps, warrants, and forwards. These are riskier than the ones found in the formal market. As a financial engineer, knowing the classification and behavior of titles and securities that can be found in the Mexican financial market allows us to have a perfect view of the instruments we can take to create the most profitable portfolios to investors.
Created using Powtoon.